But the technology for me is useless if you don't use to solve a problem. You could have a best of best technology, but if you're not able to solve it, a problem or use it in the most easiest fashion, you're not using the technology.
Welcome to Process Pioneers, the show that takes a deep dive into the minds of decision makers, key influencers, and process experts who are pioneering the world of everything process. Welcome to the next episode of Process Pioneers. My name is Daniel Rayner. I'm the host of Process Pioneers. And in each of these episodes, we get the absolute privilege of sitting down with experts, professionals, specialists in the field of business process management. Now, if you've been following along the series for a while now, because I think we're up to in the hundreds in terms of number of interviews or episodes, you will know that we invite people from all different areas of business to be in the series and to talk about business process from their perspective. Whether it's people working internally at an organization and maybe on the journey to getting buy-in and adoption from the senior leaders, or whether it's someone from the academic realm that is looking at trends and future technology and things like that. So we try and get a broad and diverse range of expertise on the series. And that's where I personally am learning a lot, is by having these conversations, talking to all of these different people that are approaching different challenges and hurdles and obstacles, but overcoming them with best practices and methodologies and approaches and things like that. So really excited for today's conversation. Today I'm sitting down with Rahul Bansode. Now, Rahul is the author of the book Digital Roadmap, Transformational Journey from Analog to Digital Business Model. He's also a digital transformation architect based out of New York. So very excited for this conversation, what we're going to cover. Rahul, thanks for joining me.
Thanks a lot, Daniel, for having me. And congratulations for completing 100 episodes. It's a milestone for you to achieve that.
It is. It's been a lot of work, but it's been very, very fruitful. And the feedback I've been receiving from the community has been very encouraging to see. A lot of messages get sent my way. Not that I'm the expert sharing this knowledge, but I do enjoy giving a platform to those that have been on this digital transformation journey a lot longer than a lot of people. So really, it's I learn a lot, and I know it's delivering a lot of value. So hence why I keep doing it. So, but I think one, yeah.
No. What I was saying is I think so. You might have felt a lot of hard work and everything, but I'm pretty sure when you cross that 100 episode mark, you would have felt such a joy and you wouldn't have felt the pain of that 100 episodes. I'm pretty sure about it. All that pain, efforts, whatever you did, it would have just washed away, I would say, and you would have felt triumph about completing that 100 episode, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely a key milestone, I'd say. But one thing that the audience, the community that listens to this podcast series, they like to understand from our guest before we dive into the rest of the conversation is your context, your background. How when were you first introduced to the topic of business process management? Is it something that you stumbled into, or was it something that you're did formal training in? And take us on a bit of a journey from that moment leading up to where you are today.
Yeah. So I started my career in the IT almost 20 years back in India as a normal, typical software developer. I started working mostly on the Microsoft platform. And that was I was doing. And over the period of time, I grew from a developer to a senior developer to a lead to a manager, and then doing a program management. That was my day in and day out job. But around 2016, I was on LinkedIn and going through some posts, and there I came across a word called digital transformation. And when I heard it, I said, "What is this?" And there was one of a person who I know very well. He is also an author. His name is Isaac. He had commented on that post, And I said, for some good reason, I never comment on post on LinkedIn at that time, in 2006. But I also commented and put my thoughts, just on one line. Next day, I come up on LinkedIn, open up, and I see that LinkedIn is showing me like 60, 70 notifications. And I said, it never happens. Rarely there are 4 or 5 notifications, but this is something crazy. What is it? So I open up and see all the posts, all the notifications related to that post. There are a lot of people who have commented, not on my post, but on the original post. And I went through all of them. And then I realized this word has something significance. What is it? As a curiosity, like a small kid, I started going over it, what it is, how it is, and what it is. Read a lot of white papers, read a lot of blogs, heard a lot of podcasts and the videos to understand it. And then slowly and gradually I understood like what is the importance of it. Why is it important in this 2016 then? Why we are talking about it? I could join all the dots, the way the technology has transformed over the period of time, the way internet has been part of our life, the way mobile is our part of our body now. It's just one another piece of our body where we cannot leave it. We carry with it. The way we have integrated ourselves with the cloud computing technology without knowing it, the way we have embraced social media, the way we do e-commerce, those things which was hardly possible 10, 15 years back, we have started doing it in a new way. And I saw that along with me, there is a generation which we as a generation is getting transformed. And this is where I realize, yes, this is something which is happening globally for each and every, whether you are in a advanced country like America or Australia or Europe, or you are in a third world countries. Everybody is using internet. Majority of the people is using it, and there is some transformation which is happening. And this is where I started reading about it, talking about it, understand it. Basically, my background of technology and then the background of business operations help me understand why it is important, how it is. So typically what happens when you're a technical, you always give more preference to the technology. You talk about technology every day in the but a technology for me is useless if you don't use to solve a problem or a business problem or business case or whatever that is. You could have a best of best technology, but if you're not able to solve it, a problem or use it in the most easiest fashion, you're not using the technology. And this is where I started analyzing things like how things are happening in the analog world and how things are operating in the digital world and what needs to be done. And this is how I got introduced to this technology. And then since last 5 years, I've been working primarily as that.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. And what would you say, so over the last 5 years, experiencing digital transformation and I guess the value that a business process management approach can bring to an organization, what would you say drives an organization to go from an analog way of working to a digital way, a digital business model? What drives them to make this shift?
See, any business is not there for, it's not a non-profit organization. It is there to make profit. Okay, there is a purpose. They are selling a product, they are selling a service, and they try to make money out of it. Okay, over the year, what has happened? That's one piece of it. So you are building. So what has happened over these 10 years, and primarily, I would say since 2007 and 8, and I'm choosing this particular because something transformation happened during this time. Okay, we got introduced to smartphones. Everybody was having smartphones. So we moved from a laptop or a screen to a small device which we can carry everywhere, and it was smart enough. It was not a mobile phone, but it was smart enough. We got introduced to social media. So there was another way of communicating with the world. We got introduced to e-commerce. So your buying experience also changed at that particular moment. We got ourselves transformed to entertaining ourselves using Netflix, Spotify, and YouTube, and those digital way of doing entertaining ourselves. We could buy sports tickets online, and go and watch those tickets, or to better all the travels and everything started moving digitally. So if you see what is happening is slowly and gradually things are changing. Things are changing. You, me, as an individual, people on the street are using it. Now, this is a very important thing. A business also needs to change that these are the same people who is using your product, who is using your services. If you're going to use an analog or an old way of doing the business, continue to do the same business, uh, you will not survive. You will not survive this transformation because there would be always some of the other players coming in and taking your position, taking your business, taking your. And we have seen over the period, we have seen so many organizations, and I think so. You might have heard these examples, but I'll repeat those examples. Starting with Nokia being a market leader in phones, but Apple just pushed it on the side because they were not able to transform themselves. They could not see the wave coming in. If you know, in the camera world, Kodak used to be the market leader, one of the market leader in Kodak. They were the first one to develop digital camera, but they didn't took the leap to start selling it for various reasons, and I can explain to you why they didn't do it. They lost the position. So those are the things we have seen. A very big firm like Microsoft, they were the people who introduced us to the computer technology to for each and every household. We started getting computer because of Apple and Microsoft, and primarily because of Microsoft, I would say. But after 2008, 2009, if you look at that, they were very centric to the Windows operating system, didn't look at the mobile, the social media, the cloud computing, and those things are transforming. And they were also getting sidetracked until Satya Nadella came in. So you see, what these example tells, like every business organization and leadership needs to understand that this transformation is happening. It has happened. Your customers, your employees, your vendors, your partners, everybody is getting impacted. So they want a digital experience. They are expecting a digital experience. And if you are going to give them an old way of doing business, they are going to find a better business partner. And that's one of the most important why it is very, very important for people to jump onto this. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess when an organization does embark on this digital transformation journey, what are some of the biggest challenges that they're going to face? Obviously, digital transformation encompasses so many different areas, and there's a huge change management aspect, I guess, where you're working with people and you don't want people to put up sort of objections or unnecessary resistance to these changes that are going to happen. So, but what are the biggest challenges you see organizations face when going on their digital transformation journey?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel, for asking. I'm glad you asked these questions. The first of all challenge is in the word digital transformation itself. And as you mentioned, that employees fear a lot that this is a transformation, this is a change, and change is always difficult. So that's the first thing that people are fearful about, the employees' leadership, and everybody is fearful about the word transformation itself because it's a change and nobody likes change. Having said that, holding on to, there are few 5 or 6 challenges I can say are there. The very first is continuing with your legacy business model, continuing with your old business model. If you're going to continue with your business, so same business model in this era, you are going to get disrupted. A very good example, we talk about Microsoft as one of the example. We talk about Nokia, Kodak. So we so these are some of the. But now, if you look at in the today's world, the fintechs are disrupting the banking. They are coming up with the new products and solutions and services which the traditional bank across the world don't have any answers to it. They are still continuing with their their branch-based banking, continuing with their branch-based banking still now. Okay, and here I want to ask a simple question about the legacy business model and everything. So across the world, every bank has a branches. They also have their online delivery channel. Okay, let me ask you, Daniel, a question. Every Saturday and Sunday, or most of the Sundays and holidays, the branches are closed. They are closed. They are not operating. Does it impact you?
Well,
I'm asking you a question.
Me personally, my whole thing is online. Well, my bank actually only has online channels, so I don't need to go into a branch or anything for me personally. But yeah,
yeah. But in general, also like the branches are closed on Saturdays. In some countries, it's Saturday and Sundays. In some countries, Sundays it's closed. Does it impact us as a life? No. But if your online bank is shut down for, say, 30 minutes, any time of the day, will it impact you?
Absolutely. When I need it.
Yes, absolutely. And if so, that very clearly tells that your branch-based banking is significance has reduced. Your online banking is the new way of doing banking.
Right.
That's the way. If you don't transform, and that's what I was trying to say, you still consider your branch-based banking as your primary and your digital as a secondary, if I can use that word. That is what I call as a legacy business model. You cannot do that. And this is where everybody is having challenges. The e-commerce like Walmarts and the big stores, they are continuing with the same. And here Amazon is taking away the show. The other challenges which I see is team silos. Every organization has various departments. Every department create their own bureaucratic processes for business approval process and everything. And it's a set pattern. Nobody wants to change those patterns. And so it creates a team silos or department silos. And when you're trying to transform, it's not a one department or a section of department transformation, it's a transformation of everybody. Right. So in this is the team silos is another very big problem. The availability of skill sets, the skill resources, because people are doing the same work in some organizations, people are doing the same work for 15, 20 years. They do have experience, I don't doubt about it, but they are doing the same kind of work for 20 years. So they cannot think outside the box. They cannot think outside what is happening. And in this process, you cannot transform your organizations so you will have to, first of all, make sure that these people are skilled to the latest technology and the various digital ecosystem so that they are able to take up. And then you also have to hire new skill sets. So getting these people itself or availability of the skill set isn't. The fourth thing which I feel is cannibalizing your product. What I mean by cannibalizing your product, which has to do with the legacy business model. At some moment of time, at some period of time, organization will have to kill their product in order to make a space for the new product.
Right.
Okay? When I say this cannibalization, it's a very, very dirty word, but it has to be taken into a right context, and people are not, or organizations are not able to do it. Let me give you an example. Apple introduces new iPhone every year. Okay. What is it? Like the previous phone is bad? No. The previous phone is not selling? No. They still make sure that they kill that product to introduce a new product.
Right.
Okay. They try to make the space for that product. And this is how transformation will work. If you're going to use the same kind of product over and over and over and again, it's not going to work in long run. So that's one of the challenges people feel. And the last thing, there are two things which I'll add is the transformation goal and the strategy. The leadership needs to overall understand and define what strategy you want for your transformation. And most organization or leadership fails to deploy the strategy or make sure that the strategy is clearly defined and elaborated to all the people within the organization, and it's not at the top management level. So these are some of the challenges. And so if you look at all these things, it talks about the culture of the organization. You're trying to transform the culture of the organizations, and changing that culture itself is a difficult part. So these are the 5-6 points which I feel is the most challenging challenges every organization faces.
Right. Yeah. No, that's really interesting. And obviously, despite these challenges, it's still, embarking on this business process management journey is still very valuable. Otherwise, organizations wouldn't be, embarking on that journey, knowing those potential challenges are ahead of them. So let's talk about some of the more significant wins that you've seen an organization realize because of their adoption of a business process management approach, or even more broadly going from analog to digital. What have you experienced, or what have you seen? Do you have a story or two that you can share where an organization has realized significant value from going on this journey, despite all of the challenges that might occur?
Yeah, so I was working with a firm, I won't name them, in my previous life, and they were doing their business through B2B, business to business way of doing their business. They were having an electronic product, and they were trying to sell this product through their dealerships, their vendors, and that was their business model for generations, and they were quite successful. 100% of their revenue was coming through this particular channel. Okay, during this period, in 2-3 years back, what happened was that their customer base was trying to ship from these vendors, these small shops or vendors and outlets. Everybody, their customer also was trying to purchase it from an e-commerce platform like Amazon. Okay, so they wanted to move themselves into that particular area, but didn't knew how to engage into it and all. So I actually worked with the leadership team, came up with a strategy of building an e-commerce platform. And the very simple thing which we did was we said, okay, instead of building an e-commerce platform for ourselves and creating our own, people are buying on Amazon. Let's see if we can put our product. Our products are already there. Third-party people are selling it. Why don't we put our foot forward in Amazon and start selling it and see? Let's see what we get. We started with one single product because we didn't know the whole ecosystem, because that was the B2C market was totally new. We started putting in the product. We put the strategy around it. We executed. I, in fact, executed that product. Slowly and gradually, we were getting success in it, and within probably a period of 7 to 8 months, we were hitting a revenue of $1 million in a small, very short period of time. Wow. It was a small amount compared to the overall business, but still that gave us a direction to where you can make a new delivery channel. Okay, use the existing platform, integrate with somebody else, and try to sell your product and go into the B2C. So that was one of the areas which business process optimization or building of new products over there. The other example, if I can give you, is with the customer support operations. Okay, for this particular firm, most of their customer service operations were through telephones. If anybody has problem, people will call the service center. Somebody on the line is picking up the phone, and then trying to understand their problem, create the ticket for them, try to give them solutions, and whatever it makes sense to solve that problem. If you look at that kind of a business model in today's world, it's an antiquated business model, because really speaking, nobody likes to call and solve the problem. They would rather go on YouTube. They would rather go on Google and try to get a solution around it. So what does it tell me? Instead of calling, people prefer self-help. self-help portals or those kind of things. So we were coming up with a strategy of building a self-help portal so that the customer can go online, search for their problems, search for the FAQs, search for the how-to videos, search for the various documents and things like that based on the product, and they can solve their problem on their own as much as possible. And if they are not able to solve their problem, they can still call them. So we were trying to optimize this process and come up with this. So these are some of the examples which I could share, like how it is going to help the organization in transforming themselves or their business operations.
Yeah, great. That's fantastic, and that will go a long way in terms of, I guess, encouraging buy-in or encouraging adoption of a business process management approach is to be able to share, wins and the value that it's delivering. But we have a lot of people that listen to this podcast that they're in a position where their senior leadership haven't yet bought into the value of BPM. They may have, it may be in pockets of the organization. They may have a very small team and a couple, small budget for that particular area. But for these people that are really trying to drive business process management and the value it can provide, especially to senior leadership, how do you get buy-in or sponsorship from the C-level executives? What sort of language do you need to be using to get them on board? How do you understand what keeps them up at night?
So basically what I've seen is the leadership team is pushing for all this transformation initiative. Okay. But the line managers and below people are not able to understand or take it up. And in some cases, the line managers are trying to push, but the leadership is not able to. In all this effort, what I've seen is that no matter what it is, the first buy-in should be there from the leadership team. If you don't have a buy-in from the leadership team, this will not be accepted. This will not go in a right way. So the way I enforce on this thing is to showcase what are the various manual business or processes which you're doing. What are the operational inefficiencies within the organizations? Okay, show with data. So once you show all this information with the data, it's going to speak volume for you. Okay, and only then you will be able to make sure that the leadership is able to understand what you're trying to say. So data is one of the very, very key in this.
Yeah,
it tells the whole story.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess until you've got that senior leadership buy-in or sponsorship, that's really what is going to encourage the rest of the organization to also buy in, because it's not just the senior leaders that will need to be on board. It's the process participants, it's the process performers, it's any stakeholder involved in a particular process. If there's going to be optimization or changes or improvements to a particular business process, it's all of these different stakeholders that you need to bring along for that journey, I suppose.
Yeah. Yes. It cannot be one department, one person, or just the leadership, or one person, or the IT or CIO or CTO driving this out. Okay, it has to be a whole organization journey, and this should be led by a CEO. And I say this because when things are put forward by the CEO of an organization, you can see that everybody accepts it. Okay, everybody drive. It becomes very easy to. But if one particular department is driving it, I use the word team silos comes into picture, and people don't get the buy-in from there, and people are just looking out after their own egos and preferences and the way, and then it's not getting driven. The organization vision is not getting driven, so it has to be driven by a CEO.
Yeah. And when you look at the future of BPM and the trends that you're noticing now, what do you think the next 5-10 years is going to look like? Obviously, over the last 5 years, we've had an incredible change in technology. And different concepts and topics like robotic process automation and process mining and different concepts like this. But what do you see over the next 5 years happening in the BPM space?
So primarily what I've seen is the automation is one of the very, very key thing, which we like. Moving away from your manual processes, business processes is one of the various things, because manual process is prone to error. There is a check and balance. You have to, every single time you have to make sure that there is a check and balance to make sure that somebody is doing those things. And these processes can be automated. There are a lot of processes where in this digital age, you can actually build a system to take care of those processes, to take care of those actions and increase the operational efficiency. Okay, you mentioned about robotic process. That's another way. Like when we hear the word robotic, we used to feel like, oh, robots, very technical, but it has become very, very simple to develop these robots who can do some mundane kind of work with somebody, and you don't require a human capital to actually sit there and do those kind of work. You can have the bot do then use the human resource for some better work in that sense. So these are the processes which you can definitely. So it's a matter of looking at these processes, identifying those processes, and making sure that you are implementing the business optimization. Okay, and again. As we talked about the legacy business model, the team silos or skills, resources, the culture of the organ, all these comes into play there. And you start looking at this in a different manner and try to optimize it. You're not trying to just remove a process just for the sake of it, but you're trying to update it for good reason, basically.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great. Now, Rahul, obviously, in a 30-minute conversation, we can only sort of scrape the surface on so few topics. And I know that, I've been gleaning a lot from our conversation today, and I'm sure that the audience has as well. So I guess what for some of the people listening, you may have left them with more questions, now that they're learning more about the value behind BPM and what it can bring to an organization and continuous innovation and making sure being okay to end the life of older, outdated products and services and business processes in order to introduce new innovation there. So I guess for the community listening, where do they go now to learn more about business process management? I know that you've brought out a book, The Digital Roadmap. I think that's a fantastic place to start. Are there any other resources that you would recommend or people to get in touch with?
Yeah, so definitely, as you rightly said, yes, my book is there. It talks about the transformation. It talks about not only about the business process. It talks about how you can build better user experience, how you can actually move towards the cloud platform, how you can leverage some new business model like subscription business model, how you can use something called as user experience, customer experience, those kind of things. And so if you look at all those things, these are nothing but optimizing your business processes. So yes, if your listeners can get a copy of my book, that would give you in a real sense, because I've shared a lot of examples, industry examples, plus my personal examples of why it is important for them. And there are a lot of books available on this particular topic, the transformation or the cloud or the user experience. People can find out some of the best books over there. The book which I wrote about I had made sure that I'm focusing and targeting this not only for the CIO and the CTO, the C-level folks, but also for the managers and the VP level folks within the organization, because these are the people who are going to be key part of your transformation journey or business optimization journey. And if you don't get a buy-in from these people, or if they don't understand what we are trying to do over here, then it's a recipe for disaster. So definitely you can get a copy of the book and read through it. If they have any questions, anything, they can reach out to me. I'm available on LinkedIn. They can always find me over there. And if there is any conversation or anything, I can help them out.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure sitting down with you and having this conversation today, Rahul. I'm really excited for the release of this episode and excited to hear all the feedback from the audience, the community that's going to be learning a lot from this conversation. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, same here, Daniel. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and having such a good conversation with you. I liked it. Thanks a lot.